I don't know about you guys, but I actually like the movie The Meg, the one about that giant prehistoric shark. So if you think about that movie, this ChoroQ Nissan Hakosuka would be a great white shark. Right there. And then this would be the Meg. So this is called a Jumbo ChoroQ. And they had like 4 castings that I can see on the internet. They had, well, 3 castings. They had this Hakosuka, they had the R34, and then they had the R34 with a police light, and then they have a classic Volkswagen Beetle with a big bunch of luggage up top. So those are the 4 Jumbo ChoroQs I'm aware of, but leave a comment if you know of any more. This is my first, of course. I actually bought this locally. It's got a bunch of scratches, it's used. I tried to get a brand new one off eBay, but there's a whole thing with FedEx. I did a video about it. FedEx basically just took their time and tried to extort money out of me, but I didn't give them the satisfaction, so I just took the monetary loss and scrapped the order. Anyway, so this guy, let's take a look here. It's a nice silver color. It actually seems to be stained with a bunch of stuff. I haven't gone over and cleaned it. So you're gonna have to ignore a lot of the scratches and stuff like that. It may have been played with a kid. So the traditional ChoroQs are wind-up toys. So they have a spring motor, and then they have this coin here to hold a holder to hold a coin, and that's what makes it will to do a wheelie of sorts. Although I've never done that myself. So I'm a little curious if this has a motor. Oh, I think it does. Let's see if well, I bet it would go it might actually be able to go fast. It's right. So I guess it depends how much you wind it up. So let's take a closer look at this guy. And I don't know if that's an opaque window. Yeah, it is. You can see the lights there. I mean, it's somewhat clear. It looks totally black to me, but it's just darkly smoked. But there's no interior, of course, with something this dark. As you can see here, there's a ridge here for the triangular window here, but this is a crack, a crevice for that particular part of the window. What's a shame is there's no printing on this thing. Like, there's no Skyline badge here. You can see the badge, door handle, and reflector up here. They're all molded in a way that I think the mold came out a certain way. So that's why there's no undercut. There's no like recess for the fingers to grab that. You can also see there's a little sink mark right here. The way the mold was designed isn't very good. It's not a smooth surface. It's like a dent there in the plastic. Well, you know, this thing is from 2004. That's what that 04 means. So I guess you can kind of understand. It seems like these are all plastic wheels, but the rear ones actually have a strip of rubber, and I guess that's what gives it the traction. Yeah, it's still actually rubbery. I don't know if they use silicone or what. Yeah, really thick axles. I'm going to take this apart, so we'll get back to the bottom. Okay, well, there's a bunch of ridges in here for the venting, and there, you know, you can add some black paint or a Sharpie probably pretty easily there. The window is quite recessed, but actually it's angled. Like, it's not recessed so much up here, but it is down there. Yeah, so that's on purpose. It's on both sides. This is supposed to open, according to the photos I saw online. Oh. I think this is supposed to be like a spring. Oh, yeah, alright, so but it's weird. I mean, there's no engine. I think I'm gonna have to see if there's any model kits of engines or something for Skylines. I'll have to see. Or maybe I'll 3D print my own. Yeah, I'll have to get back to that. But it looks like this is a spring action, but it gets stuck. See? It's not coming up. So, yeah, that's too bad. Doesn't work. No, it works sometimes. I guess you could store. Wait, where's that ChoroQ? Their original size. Can you put? Well, you can actually store 2 ChoroQs in there. Maybe that's why it's hollow. But why wouldn't they have the trunk open and store some back there, or the doors, or something else? So, anyways, that's what's happening with the hood. It's got 2 arms on each side. Okay. Unfortunately, the hood also has some sort of sink mark right there. You can see like a dent, just the way it was molded. It's like 2 dents. What's nice is the grill has the GTR. I think that R is supposed to be red, but the grill texture is really nice. It feels like it's actually hollow back there. No, I don't think it's hollow, but they're really deep grill holes, so that's pretty nice. Actually, I feel like, I don't know. Okay, sorry. Just plain smooth silver headlights. I wish they had like a texture to look like real headlights. These 2 little vents here are very deep, so you could add black paint there nicely. And again, the turn signals, they're just kind of molded as part of the bumper, because I think the mold maybe came up this way. Wish that could have been done better. The bumper itself is just part of the body. I wish that was a separate piece. It's supposed to be chrome on the real car. Alright, so this side here, it's only the rear of the Hakosukas had a fender flare. The small one, the one up front is a little smaller on the real car. So I'll pull up some photos later, I guess. That doesn't even look round. It looks like it's more rectangular, right? It's not concentric. This is definitely round. It's like following the curvature of the tire. I'm not sure why they did this. It looks like flat right there. Yeah, maybe the real car is that way. It like kind of gets flat up towards the top because it wants to steer. And look, I don't know. All right, going to the back. Yeah, the rear bumper is just casted into the side body. You have the giant coin holder here now. Jumbo ChoroQ. That's the chassis code for a Hakosuka. Strange there isn't like a Nissan badge there with so much space. You got 2 round deep exhaust tips, but that exhaust is literally just part of the molded onto the body. It's not a separate piece. It's nice that they have red taillights here. I can't tell if this taillights is a separate piece. This is where the badge is supposed to say Skyline. It's just, that rectangle. What's nice is here I can see a GTR, but it's all masked off by this stupid coin holder. I wish ChoroQ just got rid of the coin holders. I know it's their like signature thing, but it makes the toy look bad. I mean, you can't even have a real coin fit this one. And then you have a bump here for like the key lock mechanism. That's probably the fuel filler door. The wing is a separate piece, and it's actually looking very strong. So I think a kid could abuse this thing. Some scratches here. Right. Yeah, then you got the indication of where the screws would hold the fender flare, and then yeah, you got a big scratch there on that tire. Unfortunately, the tires are very slab-sided. It's unfortunate that they're not like domed like real tires. And then these definitely look like your standard 5-spoke ChoroQ wheels. Yeah, I don't really like the tires. Alright, so I think that's pretty much it for the outer appearance. It definitely looks like this ChoroQ, right? So okay, this one has steel wheels, but maybe gotta pause. It definitely, that's the problem with the rolling toys. This one, it's got the ridge going on the hood. This little guy actually has like a blue tampo print. You can see there's red. Hopefully you can see there's red text in the grill on that one. So this tiny guy actually has better detail than this giant one. This one also has printed on windscreen wipers, whereas this giant one has no indication of anything like that. So that's not too bad. Where is this from? This is from the Jay's Tipo collection, but I'm wondering when it's from. '02. So this actually happened 5 years before this, right? Or was this '07? No, never mind, '04. So it's 2 years earlier, and it has better detail than the more modern thing. Strange, very strange. Alright, I gotta take this apart. Let's take a look inside this guy. So we got a bunch of Phillips. Oh, and here's a production dial. Let's see. It does say '04. It was made in September of '04. Okay, so we're gonna need some number 2 Phillips, it looks like, in 6 spots. I've already taken 3 screws out. You can hear it like make a sound when the thread breaks loose. I think it's just threading into plastic. I got a magnet bar above, so that's where I'm sticking these screws. No, both of them pulled away. Alright, let's see what the bottom of this looks like. Oh boy. Alright, so yeah, a bunch of screws holding this all together. The wing has 4 screws. The black canopy is like 4 or 5. And then this whole engine part, there's that mechanism for the spring. I'll have to take that apart later. Yeah, some sort of support structure to keep these arms in place, it looks like. So it was all molded in this gray plastic, I think, and then they painted it all silver. Alright. The front axle. I guess, just out of curiosity. I don't have my calipers with me right now. If I had to guess, it's 4 or 5 millimeters thick. Yeah, I would say they're 3.5 or 4 millimeters thick. It's very strong steel axles. That's interesting. The wheel like actually might be 2 pieces. Yeah, I think it is, because you can see these 3 chrome dots. So I think those are this, and this is like pressed into the black of the tire. Yeah. So that's interesting. It makes me almost want to design my own wheels to replace this, but I have a suspicion those might be pushed, like glued in place. I'll have to fiddle around with that. I really don't like this. I'm wondering if I could find some like RC car tires to make it look more realistic, but the problem with this whole staggered thing is like you can find wheels that are identical in size, but it's hard to find tires that are so staggered that fit the same size wheel, you know? That's hard to find in most toys and RC cars and stuff. Alright, let's get that out of the way. Alright, so that is the giant spring motor, apparently, that is going on there. I also debate cutting this off entirely so it doesn't hide the rear end of this body. The problem that I see immediately though is these grooves, right? I would have to go in with a bunch of plastic filler that will probably have sink marks and all that stuff. It's a tough call. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it or not. Yeah, I don't know. Alright, well, I think I might try to spruce this up a little bit. After 4 days of modeling, this is what we've come up with. 4 days of work. And the reason why is because it's really hard to measure things with radii in both directions. I had to modify all these 3D printed parts 2 or 3 times. So it takes time to modify, and then it takes time to print and paint and all that stuff. So if you look at these images, the de facto standard custom wheel for Hako is a Watanabe F8, so I had to have that. That was already in my mind. But somewhere in my searching, I ran across them wearing these Work Equip 40 wheels. And there's one image out there with a Hako with gold centers. I can't find it anymore, so this is the best I could find. So I printed those out as well. But let's start with this side of the car. So, yeah, I had to print these wheels twice. The The first ones are a little bit too small. This flange is actually touching this surface, so you can't see any gap. And if you want to actually do this yourself, these little ChoroQ wheels have these 3 pins, and you could just take the thing apart and push out these 3 pins. There's no actual glue, it's just like a friction fit. So it's actually pretty easy to remove those chrome centers, and then you can I just use silicone glue to glue those in there. I also went about and drilled out some holes and put in some body screws. You know, those are stainless steel screws I had from something else, I don't know what. And just a mental note for paints, this was supposed to be chrome. It was all clad chrome paint, but then I clear coated it with rattle can clear, and it melted right through the chrome, and now it's like a gunmetal color. But it actually worked out in my favor, because here's some chrome paint from Vallejo, and it matches the car so much. So if I actually had all these parts as chrome or silver paint, they wouldn't really be very visible because they'd be the same color as the car. So a mistake, it turned out to be a pleasant surprise. They look like gunmetal parts now, although it's not really accurate to the real car. So yeah, I added a door handle top, and then the Skyline logo here with the recessed S I filled in with some red. I don't even know what these things are, passive vents or whatnot. There's supposed to be a triangle in there, but it was so small I decided to not add it. Okay, so then around the front I added the turn signals. I don't have any, well, I do have clear 3D printer resin, but it doesn't work well, so I just decided to go with opaque resin and paint these white, because they're clear on the real car if you look at those images. I added some black paint to this vent here. I added some red on the GT. And then here we have the gold-centered work-equipped 40 wheels. And this one I have kind of a logo in the middle. So yeah, I like these wheels even more than the Watanabes, so that's why I put them on this side of the car. So everything else is identical here. Alright, going to the back, I added some red to that logo. You can see I chopped off a lot of that stupid coin holder. But I had to keep the bottom because you have these 2 giant grooves. And if I filled them in, I would have to basically repaint the whole car, and I don't want to deal with that. In particular, it's masking off this fender. That would be really difficult to do. And in fact, it's actually not perfect here from ChoroQ. So I just left that alone so we know what it is. And then I added my little SMC license plate, and I added the Skyline badge up there. I added some black paint into the exhaust tips. Looks a little sloppy, but yeah, I'll take a Q-tip and, well, hold on, let me just clean that up right now. It's just Vallejo acrylic paint, so. And then I also added the rear backup lights. Again, they're supposed to be clear, but I find that resin doesn't work very well. Although, for some odd reason, you want to spend the money, you can buy these off Shapeways, and their ultra-high detail plastic is clear, and then you could just add some color to that. So that's the outside appearance. Yeah, I think it looks a little more like the photographs, but there is the real thing. Unfortunately, there was a spring-loaded pin, but it didn't really work well, so I just removed it. So if you want to open up a hood without scratching it, use some poster putty. So I took out that spring, and then I modeled my own engine, which is why all this took 4 days. And I couldn't just model a realistic engine because the engine bay is so wide. I basically made a widened version of the engine, and that radiator is even wider than it should be according to the photographs I looked at online, because I wanted to fill up the engine bay. So that's the inline 6, the S20 engine that this car ran with carburetors. And then obviously I added a battery and the brake cylinders there. Okay, so yeah, that's just silicone glued in there as well. So essentially, that is my Jumbo ChoroQ. As look at this thing. It's not gonna fit on here. Hold on. We gotta let this thing go for a little spin. Alright. So I know that there's 2 R34s in the Beetle, as I mentioned earlier. The problem with the R34 is the headlights are so big and they're just painted on silver. I'm not a fan of it, but I suppose, I mean, I do like that. I think that's the second best Skyline as far as its appearance goes. I like the R34 for the modern ones. Alright, well, if you like ChoroQs, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Well, you never know. Maybe I will get one of those Jumbo R34s, and then I'll do a project out of that. Thanks for watching today. See you in the next normal size ChoroQ video. Bye.